Okay, so we're almost done. Now I think I accidentally removed part of my video, the ending part of that video. So what I did, just to recap, is I slipped the outside of these walls and I slipped the inside of those walls. You have to slip, okay? So now what we're gonna do to finish up, we're almost done, is to just add little pieces of clay on top. Those are very easy to do. Remember those little hearts that I carved out? I'm going to use that. Now I'm going to discourage you from attaching two large pieces of clay together. Like I wouldn't attach a whole other piece on top of this, because I can create pockets, air pockets. And this is going to go into a very hot kiln. And if there's any air pockets in between my two pieces of clay, they will blow up in the kiln, destroying your piece. Now you can attach some pieces. There are methods that ceramicists use to make sure that nothing happens to them as they're firing. But because we're not together, it's difficult for me to show you those methods. But you can attach small pieces as long as some of that piece is lifted, allowing air to come out of it without harming your piece. You can again roll out a little bit of clay and then cutting out pieces using a paper clip, pencil, your butter knife, and then attaching. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab, and in the time that I've been sitting here working on this, my clay is already hardening. This is not soft anymore. It's a little more stiff. So I need to hurry because I need to shape this before it dries too much, which is why it's so important to have uninterrupted time when you work with clay. If you are going to step away from your clay piece for whatever reason, you want to take a plastic bag and completely cover your piece to try and stop this from drying while you step away. But keep in mind that if you step away from your piece for too long, it will dry and then you won't be able to attach anything to it. It may seem like you have, but in reality, it's not really attached. And if you try and bend your piece, which we are going to do, it will crack. So I've scored and I've scored. I'm going to pick up a little bit of slip, some water, add it right on there. And I'm going to attach, applying some pressure onto that heart. Now I have to slip right in there. Remember, every time I'm going to attach two pieces, I have to score and slip. I know it gets tiresome, but it's very important. Very, very important. And then I'm going to show you how to smooth that out. I'm adding some slip in here. When all of this is cleaned up, I'm going to go back and return some of the textures that I've accidentally removed. I'm going to score and slip inside also, not just on the outside. And that should stay put. Okay. I could create little worms, just rolling it. I can see a few cracks. That means it's getting dry because I've left my clay out. When I curl it, you can see those cracks in there. I'm actually just going to get a little bit of water and I'm going to smooth that out. Yeah, too dry. I've left my clay out too long. That's how quickly this dries. By adding a little bit of water, you know, it'll re-moisten your clay. Kind of like that shape. So I'm going to attach it somewhere on here. I'm going to score that. Put some water on here. Attach that on there. I'm going to go around and attach all these little pieces, and then I'll come back and I will slip it. Okay, I'll slip everything. You're going to do the same thing, creating whatever little shapes you want. I kind of like those little curves. You grab a little more clay. And then grab a little bit more water because, as I said, my clay's getting a little dry. think I'm gonna add it right on this side. Just gonna use my fingers and attach that there. Curling that piece right there. You know, sometimes if there's enough moisture, it'll attach itself without really using a lot of slip. But just to be safe, I'm going to add just a few little pieces here and there. No specific number, just whatever you think your piece needs. So if I have so many here, I'm definitely going to add something over there. I have this that I had cut out earlier, and it's actually hardened quite a bit already inside of this. That's pretty thick, isn't it? I'm not going to use that much. There we go. I'm going to do the same thing. I think I'm going to put it, I can even put it there, actually. Score. See, the wall's already hardened. Score. I need to hurry. Now, usually, if we're working on larger pieces, you're gonna have to learn how to remoisten your clay, and how to, you know, rehydrate it, and how to wedge it. So that's pretty stuck already on there. I created a section, but I'm still gonna add slip where I've attached. Okay, make it a habit. And I have another one here, and I think I will add it. I think I'm gonna add it right there. Again, kind of leaving it lifted like the heart, because I don't want it to create a section. Here comes my cat. She wants to get into the action here. See if I can get her to go over there. So I'm gonna add that there. And I'm gonna come around and I'm gonna slip everything. I just don't want to spend all my time on this video slipping everything, but you must slip, okay? Now, like I said, this small piece right here, it had so much water on there. I don't think I need to slip it. It looks like it's pretty attached, but definitely these need to be. All right, so I like that. Now I have this piece of clay over here, and I have this really cool cookie cutter. At least I thought I did. It's a bee. Again, you can cut out shapes using a pencil or anything. This might actually be too big. Let me see here. You know, ask your parents if they have cookie cutters that you can borrow. I like this bee. I was thinking of putting it here, actually. But now I'm not too sure. It's a little too big, isn't it? Maybe even here. Up there. Yeah, I think right there. Before I do that, I'm going to take a pencil and I'm just going to kind of draw the wings right there. I'm going to give it its stripes. Not the best. Let's give it some eyes. Right there. I'm going to slip it. It's a little uneven back here. I actually should have checked that before I cut it. I have a sponge here. I actually also have like makeup sponges. Those work wonderfully. But see if your parents have a sponge somewhere around the house. I think I'm going to attach that there. Okay, right there. So I have to score. Must score. Actually, it should make this a lot thinner than it is. This definitely needs slip. So I have to slip everything. I have to slip all around where it attaches. Now I've left this lifted right there so that air can escape when I put it in the kiln. So the next thing I need to do is slip everything that I've attached and clean it up, clean up all the edges. Now what I want you to do, and this is very important, is that you must carve your initials somewhere in this piece, because when you turn it in, I need to know whose is whose. So just your initials with a pencil. Here's my L, W. Okay, then we need to put some holes because we're gonna put wires to it. So I'm gonna put a hole here. Now don't put it very much close to the edge, because when I'm gonna use a pencil, make sure it goes all the way, and then you want to do that on the other side. If you put it too close to the edge, it's gonna rip open your clay. Make sure, I'm gonna push. I'm gonna do a good size little hole there. Same thing over here. My piece is already hardening. I've got to shape it. I got to make sure. Now if your clay is getting hard and it's cracking a lot, spray it with some water and then put it back in the bag. If you'll notice, this is it's curved. So we have to curve this. And you have to prepare it for transport, because once this dries, once it becomes bone dry, you do not want to touch it anymore, because it will crack on you. So you're going to put it on the surface that you're going to use to transport it to me. So if you have a box where it can go in, if you have a piece of cardboard that you can then later put a plastic bag over, so that when you transport it, the thing is that you don't want to touch this anymore once it dries. So for example, I have this old lid. If you don't have an old lid, you can again use a piece of cardboard. Then I don't want the clay to stick to my lid here. I'm going to pick this up carefully. Now I haven't slipped everything, okay? I still need to do that, but I want to show you this step. Be careful, because it's going to be hard. I want to create that curve, okay? So using a plastic bag, I'm going to put that on top, and it's going to create that curve. Now, how steep of a curve you want is up to you. Okay. And then I'm no longer going to touch this, okay? I can't, because it will fall apart. I press that down a little bit. It was curving too much, and I was afraid that it was going to crack up here. So be careful that your curve is not that much that it's going to rip your piece in half there. Okay, and so it will dry this way. When you bring it to school, this is how you're going to bring it, okay? Just like that. So then you're going to set this aside somewhere where no one is going to touch. I still need to go back and slip everything. I'm going to use my sponge to clean the edges. And then that's it. Don't mess with it anymore. It's done. Okay? All right.